All right, so we're just in time for another eBay unboxing. This comes all the way from Canada, and it took quite a bit of time for it to arrive. Let's get it opened. Oh, I almost sliced my hand. All right, we'll do this in fast motion. So when I saw this, I knew I had to have it. I've never had like an altar cross, except for I have my holy relic behind it, which I just got the other day. But an altar cross is a cross that's placed upon your altar. And so it's held up with a little stand. And I saw this and I knew I loved it, but it's real toast, okay? So the seller really didn't know much about it. Neither did I. But I was hoping it's an older crucifix. Or altar crucifix. I'm hoping that it's not something from like the Second Vatican, Vatican II, which I don't like Vatican II, especially like around the late 50s, 60s. Yeah, I just like, I do know from the seller's pictures, this is the Stations of the Cross. You can hardly see the Stations of the Cross, but in each medallion is the Stations of the Cross. I believe it's 14. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, there's 14. And each one is like a little scene of Jesus's crucifixion. Now, I saw this in the seller's listing, and it looked like a bust or a side view of somebody. And I'm wondering what pope it is. So this is something very important because it has a medallion of a pope in it. And I've never seen an altar cross on eBay in my 2 years of collecting a pope on one of these crucifixes that are stationed on an altar. Generally, I'll find them without the little stand, but yeah, so this is cool. Let's find out what pope this is. I'm going to clean this with Simichrome, and so take a look at it now. Absolutely filthy dirty. Now, another thing to know if something's old, if it has, what's the name of that screw? If it's not a Phillips head, oh my God, my brain, I'm having a brain fart. What the heck do you call those screws? You know what I'm talking about. Then you know it's like after. But this looks like an older bolt. It says Roma on the back. We have some nails. It is dirty. It was made out of brass. But let's see if we can clean this with some Simichrome, find out what pope this is, and then I'll give you a history lesson about the particular pope that is on this altar crucifix.
Pius the 11th. Achille Ratti, like Pius X, had parents who were just plain folks. Born at Desio on May 31st, 1857, he went to the seminary at Milan and then on to the Gregorian University to take his doctorate in theology. After a few years in a parish, Father Ratti was put to work at the Ambrosian Library in Milan. Here, he made such a reputation that Pius X, in 1912, made him assistant librarian at the Vatican, and soon after, head of the Great Vatican Library. Scholar that he was, Ratti was no pale bookworm. He was an expert, indeed, something of a champion, in a difficult and dangerous sport, mountain climbing. In 1918, Benedict XV sent Ratti from his research to serve first as visitor and then as nuncio to stormy Poland. For a scholar in his 60s to go on his first diplomatic mission to a country coming to life after over a century of partition was something of a task. But the old historian successfully handled a situation perplexing enough to trouble a Supreme Court full of Solomons. He showed courage, too, when other diplomats fled before Trotsky's onrushing Red Army. Ratti remained to hear the thunder of Soviet guns in threatened Warsaw. He had the satisfaction of seeing the heroic Poles strike back and rout the communists. In 1921, Benedict made Ratti a cardinal and archbishop of Milan. A few months later, Benedict was dead, and Ratti succeeded him. He chose the name Pius XI. Pius XI faced a sadly disturbed post-war world, a world threatened and tempted by fascism and communism. Far from yielding to discouragement, Pius strove mightily to rally the forces of good and to remedy the time's evils. To remind a materialistic world of the primacy of the spiritual, Pius established the beautiful feast of Christ the King. In 30 encyclicals, he shed light on the difficulties of his day. Outstanding were his encyclicals on education, marriage, and above all, on the social problem. Though he fought manfully for principle, Pius was quick to extend the hand of friendship. and his pontificate is notable for a whole series of concordats. The outstanding event of this kind was, of course, the Lateran Treaty of 1929, which put a long-desired and satisfactory end to the Roman question. Pius XI deeply appreciated the oneness of mankind. He ardently fostered mission activity and was eager to see native clergy, headed by native bishops, take over as many mission fields as possible. In what has been called the Magna Carta of the missions, Pius allowed certain customs, which, once open to superstition, had become secularized with the centuries. He was keenly interested in the separated Eastern churches and yearned for reunion with them. His great heart was angered by based attacks on the Jews, and he bluntly told the world that to be anti-Semitic was to be un-Christian. It is characteristic of the man that one of his first acts was to continue feeding starving Russians in spite of Soviet ingratitude, and one of his last was to lash out at racist laws. Pius had much sorrow. He grieved over the sufferings of his children in Mexico, Russia, Spain, and Germany, but he was not soured. Just before he died on February 10, 1939, Pius offered his life for the peace of the world. Pius XI, 257th Pope. Christ our King, thy kingdom come.
All right, so I think there is some hope after all for this with the Simichrome. I got a metal polishing rag, which actually is not working as good as I thought. So an abrasive thing like a paper towel. To look at the black. I don't know if you can see this. And already I started working on this spot. And it's starting to get the dirt off. But this is going to take a lot of elbow grease to get this off. So I got this spot done so far. You're starting to see a mirror-like finish. But this is going to take hours. Hours of scrubbing. Alright, so Simichrome is actually very expensive. And I don't want to deplete my, because I can't afford another tube right now. It's usually like $12 a tube. So I grabbed this stuff that I had laying around, Wright's copper cream. And actually the Wright's is taking care of it way quicker than the Simichrome. And so this is the Simichrome area. This is the Wright's area. So yeah, we're going to use some Wright's. And again, I'm going to put links to the Simichrome, to the silver polishing rag, and the Wright's copper cream in the description beneath this video. So yeah, this is old. As you can see, I dipped a lot of Q-tips in there to get the stuff out. It comes with a little sponge. And let's go. Let's try to make this thing look good. Okay, so I figured out why the Wright's is working so much quicker than the Simichrome. With the Simichrome, I was applying it with this polishing cloth. But the Wright's comes with this sponge, which is falling apart. That's very, very fun. I don't know if you can see that. Very much like Mr. Clean. Yes, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. So that it's because of the sponge. So when this sponge goes, I'm going to actually apply it to a Magic Eraser and then rub it off that way. Rub all the filth off. Magic Eraser. So basically, it's just a polish and it's the sponge that's loosening up all the filth on here. All right, so it took me an hour and a half with Wright's copper polish and that sponge, and with Simichrome to do the medallions. I did not clean the medallions thoroughly because I wanted to leave some of the patina, and I left a little on Christ. Now this was really amazing because I wanted it to be an older Pope, which is great. Now it took me an hour and a half, boys and girls. This Pope was Pope between 1922 and 1939. I believe this cross to be the Anno Sancti one, that was the Holy Year of 1925 or the Jubilee of 1929. So this is at least, at minimum, 99 years old, if not more. more because he was Pope from 1922. It could be prior to 1925. It could be just when he was canonized as Pope that this was made. So I'm guessing anywhere between 100 and a couple of years, like maybe, you know, like 102, 103 years old, or as old as like 89 years old. Really cool stuff. So this Pope did not have it easy. He was the Pope during the Great Depression and the Pope during the Nazis, you know, the beginning of Nazi Germany with Hitler. So this Pope died of heart failure. He was very stressed out because of the upcoming Second War after having World War I. And now we can see with the medallions, we can actually see, I left some of the patina. You can actually see the little stations of the crucifix, Jesus. And then we go below, we have Pope Pius the 11th right there with more stations of the cross. Again, I told you I left some patina on here because I just wanted to have it have some age to it. And that's when you restore. You don't want to make it look like it's brand spanking new. So here's the crucifix on the left when it was black when I first got it. I mean, look how filthy it was. Oh my God, it looked terrible. It looked like a piece of garbage that you would want to throw in the garbage. And notice the brass base, how dull it was. It lost all its luster and shine. This one, look at this incredible shine on it. And here's the medallions. We'll get a close-up. And so I'll show you the medallions here. And here's the medallions, the way when it came. I mean, look how black. All right, so thank you for joining me on another restoration. This is a really, really gorgeous crucifix. I also used Murphy's oil soap to condition and shine and polish the wood as well. And I'll see you on the next eBay unboxing, hopefully soon.